management system works in organizations. You see, strategy is at the center of everything that you do as a leadership team. The strategy informs us of our priorities, focus, resource allocations, and so forth. In fact, the strategy, once we understand it in that form of a strategy map that I just showed you, it should enable us to begin managing the business better. And we've been talking about that so far in the context of impact diagrams and dashboards and the like. But the strategy also should inform us on how we do our planning, how we actually go off and perform our jobs, and how we focus our performance improvement initiatives. So that strategy map that we talked about to begin with is going to feed up to our management activities. They're going to look at how we monitor through a balanced scorecard, how we can communicate alignment across the employees, customers, and stakeholders, and then finally give us tools to operate the organization in a more strategic way. That same drivers that we have as strategic drivers should be the drivers that we have in our planning system. Whether I'm using those as the cascading, the grants of authority in the organization that we talked about, or a driver-based plan that allows us to manage our funds and cash appropriately. But the more important asset we have is those intangible assets, the people and customers. How can we do customer planning and people planning on that same driver-based planning footprint? As a strategy model changes, as the weighting changes or the strategic objectives changes, those drivers should impact the cascade, the financial plan, and the people plan dynamically. So we're not replanning once a year, we're replanning every time we have to adjust the strategy. And the feedback loop tells us how we're performing against these to understand whether we need to change our strategic priorities, because we can't achieve that objective, or we're overachieving, or adjust our expectations around what the organization is capable of doing based on the current economy. Likewise, that strategy map should come down here and help us on the perform side of things. It should allow us to build those dashboards so we can have a more detailed monitoring activity. They should allow us to do the agile analytics and business intelligence so we can analyze in more detail. It should allow us to operate at a tactical level. And then finally, eye candy. How can we report in a dynamic dashboard way in Palm units and pads in a way that allows everyone to clearly understand the complexity of the organization in a nice simple metaphor that translates it into my accountabilities and role. Finally, we need to use the same tools to underpin how do we set up and do our project portfolio management and analyze the effectiveness of that portfolio and monitor the performance of those projects beyond the Gantt chart. What are they doing towards closing those strategic performance gaps that we've observed?